Have you ever gone on a picnic and suddenly you find their ants have gotten into everything? Ah, it's so annoying. Sometimes we have ants that affect our thinking. I'm talking about some type of weird horror story. I'm talking about those automatic negative thoughts, or ANTs, ants, that get into our heads and they create a lot of problems in our lives. Specifically, I want to talk to you a little bit about how these ants can create social anxiety. Social anxiety, or social phobia, is a situation where you feel like something embarrassing or traumatic is going to happen as a result of being in a public setting. It could be giving a presentation, it could be going to school, it could be at work, but you're afraid of being humiliated or made fun of or to look stupid. So some of those negative thoughts that come automatically, and they're automatic because we don't wish to think about them. They just pop in our head and we can't seem to control them. They have a feeling of helplessness that comes with them. And they may be things like, I'm useless, or you're going to think to yourself, I'm an idiot, or people are going to think badly of me, or I'm going to be embarrassed in front of everybody, or I'm going to lose control somehow and expose myself, or appear foolish. Oftentimes, those social anxious thoughts, those automatic negative thoughts will be, there's no hope for me, or everyone's judging me, or everyone's watching me. Or we'll just think thoughts like, says, I'm always doing the wrong thing, or this is terrible. So whatever the thought might be that's affecting us socially, so that we can't go to parties, we can't go to holiday events, we can't go hang out with friends, it even stops us from going to classes or going to work. Social anxiety can be debilitating for us in regards to the age, for children as well as adults. What you want to do if you have these kind of ants that are affecting your situation is that you want to be able to exterminate them. You want to be able to go in and find out where their nest is and eradicate them. So the way that you do this is that you have to first catch them, right? So you see an ant, you follow it back to the nest, and then you eradicate them. So the first goal here is to write down those negative thoughts as they come up. So you may think, I'm going to be embarrassed in front of everybody, or I'm going to look foolish, or everyone's judging me. As soon as you have that thought, I want you to write it down. Because once you put that out there on a piece of paper or say it out loud, you can start to hear yourself and see what you're thinking and begin to think, this is not me, this is not true, and you begin to reality test it. That's kind of the first piece. You want to catch those automatic negative thoughts, those ants, and then reality test them. You're going to say, what is the evidence for me thinking in this way? And are these thoughts factual, or are they just my interpretation of the event? Do other people have these same issues? And if they don't, why? Am I jumping to some type of conclusion? Once you've kind of thought about whether or not your thoughts are actually true, then you can start looking for some alternative explanations. You can begin challenging them and say, are there any other ways that I can look at this situation? Or how do other people see this situation or see me? What else could this possibly mean? Or if I was going to be positive, because I don't feel positive, how would I perceive the situation in that light? This is where sometimes trusted friends that feel safe would be useful to help you give some alternatives. Once you've done that, then you want to put it into greater perspective. Is this situation as bad as I'm making it out to be? Is this the worst thing that could possibly happen to me? Oftentimes we can think of worse things because it felt like it was worse. And then when we start articulating what really would be a worst case scenario, we realize that that situation of handing in that test or answering a question that's asked of by the teacher or being called on at work, those aren't really as worst case scenarios. There's a lot more worse things that could happen. We can also think about what the best thing that could happen could be. I could answer the question and get it right. I could respond to my boss's question and I could come up with a great answer that he would thank me for. So there are positive alternatives to this as well. Beginning to imagine yourself in either the worst case or positive situation will help make the situation that you're feeling overwhelmed by, helpless in, to become much more broad. And suddenly it's not black and white thinking any longer. It's not all or none. you can think of it in more grayer dimensions, and you can then begin to challenge it and find some other alternatives and not be controlled by it. Once you're beginning to do that, you want to put this thing in greater perspective. Will this even matter in 5 years from now? Is there anything good that can actually come out of the situation? So those things help you. Then go on to goal-directed thinking. Is this thinking helping me achieve my goals in life? Do I feel good as a result of having this thought or feeling? If the answer is no, then you realize this is a very negative thought, and I need to start looking at a more positive thought. What can I do to help me solve this problem? And start looking at solutions, not just the problem as being overwhelming and you're powerless. You're not a victim in the situation. That's another negative thought, another ant, is a victim sort of mentality. Is there anything I can learn from this situation to help me do it better next time? And one way I help individuals visualize this is to imagine the situation that's creating the anxiety and to identify the automatic negative thought that's popping up. And then to imagine that they are being lifted by a helicopter 1,000 feet in the air and looking down on the situation and then describing that situation from that vantage point. That gives them better perspective on their situation, and they can see the whole map, the whole territory, and realize, oh, I can get away from here, I can escape in this situation, I can solve the problem from this angle. So much more opens up, and you're not looking at it in such a narrow way. So just a few of the ways that we can challenge these automatic negative thoughts, these ants that tend to create so much problems in social situations.